favor comes because for a brief moment in the great space of human change and progress some general human purpose finds in him a satisfactory embodiment. We must lay hold of the fact that economic laws are not made by nature. They are made by human beings. There are as many opinions as there are experts. Are you laboring under the impression that I read these memoranda of yours? I can't even lift them. If we can boondoggle ourselves out of this depression, that word is going to be enshrined in the hearts of the American people for years to come. Art is not a treasure in the past or an importation from another land, but part of the present life of all living and creating peoples. A reactionary is a somnambulist walking backwards. Don't forget what I discovered, that over 90% of all national deficits from 1921 to 1939 were caused by payments for past, present, and future wars. The overwhelming majority of Americans are possessed of two great qualities: a sense of humor and a sense of proportion. No group and no government can properly prescribe precisely what should constitute the body of knowledge with which true education is concerned. The school is the last expenditure upon which America should be willing to economize. When you see a rattlesnake poised to strike, you do not wait until he has struck to crush him. No government can help the destinies of people who insist in putting sectional and class consciousness ahead of general weal. The United States Constitution has proved itself a most marvelously elastic compilation of rules of government ever written. There is a mysterious cycle in human events. To some generations much is given. Of other generations much is expected. This generation of Americans has a rendezvous with destiny. Put 2 or 3 men in positions of conflicting authority. This will force them to work at loggerheads, allowing you to be the ultimate arbiter. I believe that in every country the people themselves are more peaceably and liberally inclined than their governments. Prosperous farmers mean more employment, more prosperity for the workers and businessmen of every industrial area in the whole country. It is an unfortunate human failing that a full pocketbook often groans more loudly than an empty stomach. But while they prate of economic laws, men and women are starving. We must lay hold of the fact that economic laws are not made by nature. They are made by human beings. In our personal ambitions we are individualists. But in our seeking for economic and political progress as a nation, we all go up or else all go down as one people. The only sure bulwark of continuing liberty is a government strong enough to protect the interests of the people, and a people strong enough and well enough informed to maintain its sovereign control over the government. More than an end to war, we want an end to the beginning of all wars, yes, an end to this brutal, inhuman and thoroughly impractical method of settling the differences between governments. A conservative is a man with 2 perfectly good legs who, however, had never learned how to walk forward. Those newspapers of the nation which most loudly cried dictatorship against me would have been the first to justify the beginnings of dictatorship by somebody else. If you treat people right, they will treat you right, 90% of the time. It isn't sufficient just to want, you've got to ask yourself what you are going to do to get the things you want. I think we consider too much the good luck of the early bird and not enough the bad luck of the early worm. It is common sense to take a method and try it. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another. But above all, try something. One thing is sure. We have to do something. We have to do the best we know how at the moment. If it doesn't turn out right, we can modify it as we go along. Not only our future economic soundness but the very soundness of our democratic institutions depends on the determination of our government to give employment to idle men. We are trying to construct a more inclusive society. We are going to make a country in which no one is left out. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much, it is whether we provide enough for those who have little. True individual freedom cannot exist without economic security and independence. People who are hungry and out of a job are the stuff of which dictatorships are made. A nation that destroys its soils destroys itself. Forests are the lungs of our land, purifying the air and giving fresh strength to our people. Human kindness has never weakened the stamina or softened the fiber of a free people. A nation does not have to be cruel to be tough. Competition has been shown to be useful up to a certain point and no further, but cooperation, which is the thing we must strive for today, begins where competition leaves off. We have always held to the hope, the belief, the conviction that there is a better life, a better world, beyond that horizon. There are many ways of going forward, but only one way of standing still. The point in history at which we stand is full of promise and danger. The world will either move forward toward unity and widely shared prosperity, or it will move apart. Nobody will ever deprive the American people of the right to vote except the American people themselves, and the only way they could do this is by not voting.